All right, welcome back to the program. Let's begin by talking about the housing and mortgage market, shall we? Because this is a big topic of discussion around household tables and in Congress. The government would like to help people rework their mortgages, pressuring banks to do things like reduce interest rates, reduce principal, and a lot of people out there certainly need help. But yesterday, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency came out with some disturbing information and data showing that the majority of people's mortgages that had been reworked in some fashion is not helping, and the so-called redefault rate is just about as high as the overall default rate. Let's talk about this and other issues impacting the credit markets. David Castillo, Senior Managing Director with Further Lane Securities, in town here, and we appreciate it, David. Listen, you had hoped that this program, whatever they call it, Hope Now or Hope for Homeowners, or all this help that these homeowners are getting would work. It appears that it is not. Why not?
I think the principal cause of why it's not working is that early on in this cycle, as we were trying to work with existing homeowners with their troubled, let's just say, finances, is that they agreed to deals that were probably not smart. In a lot of cases, they just took the first deal down the road and didn't think through what was available to them. They didn't look at what was available. All they knew is they could buy a couple of more months. That seems to be what's the case from the data and the research that I've seen come out. I think what we will see through this next wave is a little bit more thoughtful approach, not only by the servicers, but also by the lenders and how they approach these reworking of the refinancings.
And you're starting to see a little bit of that, but you're talking about getting the payment down to a reasonable amount of somebody's monthly income, and are you talking about cutting the principal? And if a home's underwater, make sure it's not underwater to keep the person in the house.
Well, that's the cheapest way to do it. Many studies that are out there done by a variety of broker-dealers as well as independent think tanks have decided that it really does make a lot of sense to keep them in there, because when you get into the repossession and foreclosure process, you lose, a significant amount versus reducing the principal outstanding as well as the potential interest over the life of the mortgage.
But are we missing a key aspect here? And I've been arguing about this. Do people want, in all cases, to be kept in their homes? I mean, if you bought a house in Stockton, California for 300 grand at the peak, it's now worth 200. Your whole neighborhood is dotted with foreclosures. You can't make the payments. You're only paying interest and you put nothing down. Why would you even, all you want to do is get out of there, because you can see 5 years down the road, you're still not going to have any positive equity.
I think that's a good point. In areas where you've seen like significant depreciation in home values, there's going to be that. I don't believe that that's a majority of what you're seeing. I think many people had the hope and the dream that they could hold on to a home, and it's getting away from them. And I think the realities of the economy as well as what they agreed to is setting in.
Do you think we've already seen the most of the walkaways, so to speak, where someone's underwater and they just leave the house and go, particularly investors who maybe bought a home as an investment, a second home? If it's your primary residence, won't you stay in it? Because, again, you still have to pay rent somewhere.
Well, I think that's the case. However, you no longer have the obligation, especially like in the state of California, where you can do a short sale and it's not worked against your credit. And the bank is more interested in just getting someone else into the home and making someone else responsible for it for a period of time. I do not believe that the rate of walkaways will increase, as you say it. I believe that it will remain constant and probably decline over time.
We're seeing something fascinating, too. Usually when we see interest rates drop, prices go up because people can buy more homes. I mean, if you overlay a chart of the mortgage loan size data with interest rates, it's almost perfectly inverted. People borrow, in other words, as much as they can. Interest rates have been falling, but so have prices. When does that turn around and normalize?
I think right now it's very simply put. You've just got more properties for sale than you do have buyers who have the ability to finance their homes. I think that the government has begun to look at the bottom-up approach, like we've spoken about before, which is empower the individual homeowner to stay in his home. And the ways to do that we've provided opportunities via putting pressure on servicers as well as banks to negotiate with them, as well as, I believe, some sort of tax incentivization policy to allow these people to stay in their homes, or for new buyers to come into the market.
And one last thing, Scott Rasmussen from Rasmussen Reports told us yesterday, at least long run, a majority of people think home prices will be up over 5 years. So they still see it as a viable place to put their money.
Well, I think on a 5-year basis, I think that that's a fair to realistic sort of view of the world, because, we're in a cycle. We're in a really nasty bottom part of a cycle. And, I think that, we probably can go lower, a lot lower, who knows. But in 5 years' time, I certainly want to be a buyer right now.
It's great. a positive outlook. David, it was great to see you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
And if you care about the auto industry, which I'm sure you do from a credit markets perspective, breaking news right now, Senator Reid of Nevada has just started the process by which an auto bill could be called up to the floor as early as today. So we're talking about a workout here. This news just crossing right now. Maybe you want to alert it there with a catchy graphic and maybe a little noise or something like that. Anyway, Reid starting the process by which an auto bill could be called up as early as today. So we may get, maybe not a solution, but we may have some resolutions passed by the end of this week.
And I've got an opinion on that. I mean, one of the things that we see with these legacy industries, whether it's the auto industry, the airline industry, or look at the railroads, is that when there's government intervention, it tends to take away from the productive capabilities of nascent businesses or the ability to be creative or constructive. And when we support these old line industries, we tend to get, let's just say, a malaise that's not necessarily...
Are you saying the Lada was not a fine Soviet automobile? The Lada was a hot car. I mean, you know, it's a disposable car.
Well, the nice
Drive it for 3 months and it breaks down, go get another one.
It's a wonderful market because it's the only car for sale. But when you have so many things available to you, it's my opinion that right now we have to do this because we got to keep people employed. However, look go fly a legacy airline, okay? Would you rather fly American or Virgin America? I know I'm going coast to coast all the time on Virgin America.
Yeah, newer planes and all kinds of cool
stuff.
What?
They're nice to me. You know, they don't lose my bag. You know, like I flew American, like San Francisco to Miami.
If you're nice to the people, maybe they'll be nice back to you.
They have tough jobs. The airline workers do have very difficult jobs. Those people, you hear them, you know, the screaming.
I'm a big grouch, and this is what I look like when I get on the airline.
You're nice to them, they're nice to you.
I'm always smiling.
David, you are a nice guy. Thank you very much for joining us. David Lada Castillo.
Ouch.
It's a fine car. It's a fine car.
Well, speaking of smiling, Nicole Petalides, put a smile on our faces with what you see that is green in this market.
I'm laughing because, I don't know, I guess I'm nice. Everybody's nice to me. I don't know. You know, they say you have to be able to play in the sandbox to work down here, right, and get along with everybody. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 60 points at this time. But